I couldn't believe what just happened. And honestly, I wouldn't have believed a single detail if it hadn't been my own daughter standing in front of me, trembling, voice cracking, tears rolling down her cheeks like they had been waiting years for permission to fall. She looked like someone who had just outrun a nightmare, only for it to catch up and grab her by the ankle. Karen had gone full maniac mode, and the worst part, this wasn't even surprising. It was almost like the universe finally decided to show me just how far that woman could go. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top notch HOA drama. Now, before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching this story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. Karen has always been this way, loud, bossy, and drunk on imaginary power, like she'd been sipping HOA authority cocktails since birth. She strutted around the neighborhood like a malfunctioning traffic light, always flashing, always confused, and always causing chaos. I'd lived there for a while with my daughter Trisha, who, unlike Karen's mini-me, actually had manners and dreams beyond throwing tantrums in public spaces. Coincidentally, Trisha happened to be in the same class as Karen's son, Tyler. Sweet kid. Unfortunately raised by a human tornado. Prom season arrived, and Tyler, bless his optimistic heart, asked Trisha to be his date. But she had already promised someone else weeks before, so she politely turned him down. Kid stuff. Normal stuff. Something any parent with functioning brain cells would shrug off. But not Karen. Oh no. This woman treated the word no like a personal attack on her bloodline. So when Tyler went home and mentioned it, apparently Karen took it as a declaration of war. Suddenly, she was stomping around the neighborhood like Godzilla in yoga pants, looking for someone to blame. And lucky me, that someone turned out to be my front door. Trisha didn't even know this was brewing. She was too busy studying for finals while I was busy ignoring the growing storm clouds hovering over Karen's bleach blonde head. But I should have known better. You can't ignore a storm like that. It always finds a window to break. Things never remained the same from the moment Karen heard about Tyler getting turned down. It was like someone lit a firecracker under her ego, and the explosion echoed through the entire neighborhood. The very next morning, she marched straight to my doorstep, banging so hard the doorbell gave up trying to compete. When I opened the door, she didn't even breathe before launching into a full volume opera performance about how dare my daughter embarrass her precious boy. I just stood confused, half awake, trying to understand why an adult cared this much about high school prom. I calmly asked her why she was meddling in something that had nothing to do with her. Instead of answering like a normal human, she puffed out her chest and hissed that she would make both me and Trisha regret it. The woman said it with the confidence of someone announcing a national threat. I knew she was dramatic, but this was a new level of ridiculousness. From that day, the fines started rolling in like spam messages after signing up for one sketchy website. She fined me for my lawn being a quarter inch too tall. She fined me for my trash bin being a shade too close to the curb. She even fined me for a leaf, one leaf, she claimed blew from my yard onto hers. She turned petty into a competitive sport. Then she took it further. She marched up to me again and demanded that Trisha never speak to Tyler, walk near Tyler, breathe near Tyler, or even exist in Tyler's vicinity. I tried explaining that teenagers move on quickly and this drama was unnecessary, but she wouldn't hear a word. She spun every sentence I said into an insult, twisting reality like she was kneading dough made of pure delusion. I noticed the tension weighing on Trisha. She acted brave, but she avoided passing Karen's house, avoided walking alone, avoided anything that might spark another Karen eruption. I hated watching her shrink herself because of someone else's madness. Um, that's when I realized the situation was spiraling faster than I expected. And if I didn't find a way to steady things, Karen was going to drag this entire neighborhood into chaos. I knew I had to handle the situation carefully, not just for my sanity, but to show Trisha how to face conflict without becoming part of the madness. So I sat her down one evening and suggested something I genuinely thought would calm things down. I told her to walk over to Karen's house, apologize politely, and explain that she meant no disrespect. Maybe, just maybe, if Karen saw sincerity, she would finally gain a tiny ounce of common sense. Trisha, being the gentle soul she is, agreed without hesitation. If I had known what was coming, I never would have let her go alone. She walked down the sidewalk with confidence, rehearsing what she'd say, unaware she was approaching the lair of a woman who had clearly misplaced her humanity somewhere decades ago. She knocked gently, and when the door opened, Karen appeared with her usual scowl, looking like someone had interrupted her mid-complaint. Trisha greeted her politely and began explaining, but Karen didn't even let her reach the second sentence before she raised her hand and delivered a slap so loud it could have been mistaken for a gunshot in a quiet town. My daughter fell straight to the ground, stunned, holding her cheek in pure disbelief. She tried to stand, but before she could regain balance, Karen slapped her again, harder, like she'd been practicing in a mirror for moments exactly like this. "I told your dad I never want to see you near my son again," she snapped, voice sharp as broken glass. And as if the assault wasn't enough, the woman pulled out her phone and started recording Trisha, pointing the camera at her like she was documenting some wild animal. Across the street, James, my neighbor, a calm man who kept to himself, saw everything. He sprinted over so fast he nearly tripped on his own steps. He snatched the phone out of Karen's hand, grabbed Trisha gently, and guided her away from that nightmare. When he led her into my living room, she was shaking, her cheeks swollen, mascara streaked from tears. She could barely speak, but every word she managed to push out made my blood boil hotter. Hearing what happened felt like someone pushed a switch inside me. Karen had crossed the final line, light, ripped it out of the ground, and set it on fire. The moment I saw Trisha's cheeks, bright red, swollen, and shaking, I felt something inside me lock into place. No yelling, no panic. I simply lifted my phone and started recording everything. Her trembling voice, the fingerprint marks on her skin, the tears she kept wiping away, and James standing behind her, furious as he explained exactly what he had witnessed. I wasn't letting Karen twist the truth this time. I was gathering evidence. Strong, undeniable evidence. I called the police immediately. When the officers arrived and saw Trisha's face, their expressions changed instantly. James gave his full account, describing both slaps and Karen recording her afterward. The officers headed straight to Karen's house. She tried pretending she was innocent, but the second they told her she was being detained, her confidence evaporated. Karen was arrested on the spot. Her charges included assault, battery, child endangerment, harassment, disorderly conduct, and invasion of privacy for recording a minor without consent. Because it involved repeated physical strikes, the officer warned her that the case could qualify for enhanced penalties, possibly including jail time. I contacted my lawyer immediately after. We filed a civil lawsuit seeking damages for medical treatment, emotional trauma, harassment, and Karen's long-standing abuse of HOA authority. He estimated she would owe tens of thousands in restitution, on top of legal fees and potential HOA sanctions. And once investigators looked deeper, it became clear she had been abusing her power for years, something the board could no longer ignore. Neighbors gathered outside as the officers placed her in the back of the patrol car. Some filmed, some whispered, some shook their heads in disbelief. Trisha stood beside me, holding my hand tightly, watching the woman who tried to intimidate her face real consequences for the first time. Karen wasn't in control anymore. Reality finally caught her. The end. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.